Hi, I'm Stephanie Stuart, Vice President for Communications and External Affairs for Parkland College. I'm your new host of the Parkland Report, and I hope you'll join me this season as we talk to some of the familiar faces around the college about what's new and what you need to know here at Parkland College. Hi, welcome to the Parkland Report. I'm Stephanie Stuart, Vice President for Communications and External Affairs here at Parkland College. And today on the show, we are joined by Dave Leake. He is the Director of the Parkland Planetarium and Professor of Physics and Astronomy here at the college. Welcome, Dave.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm sure you've been on the show before in the past to share about the planetarium, but
a couple of times.
Just a couple times, but there's always a lot going on at the planetarium. What's the latest thing you're working on right now, or that people are able to experience at the planetarium?
Well, the latest thing we're working on is really more under the hood. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of like you have an old car, but you put a new engine in it, and we just got the Digistar 6 system, which is
sounds fancy.
An upgrade over the Digistar 4 system. We just skipped 5, and it's a brand new software that we use to project things up into the sky. So we're still doing our shows on Friday and Saturday night, but we've got a brand new star field now. I just absolutely love our new star field. The old one was okay, but this one is much improved.
So what is a star field?
That's what we do best, is on our 50-foot dome, we put the nighttime sky up there. And this one is very realistic. You know, the Milky Way on the old one, was okay. Of course, we're kind of picky about things like that. But this one looks really good. And we were able to actually go through, it took several hours to actually fine-tune the star field. How bright do you want the brightest stars? How dim do you want the faintest stars? And that kind of thing. So I think people will notice a difference. The stars are in the same spots, the same constellations, but it's a lot nicer star field.
And what a cool asset to our community that we're able to go into a place that's a little bit comfortable, a little bit no rain, and the clouds don't get in the way, but no mosquitoes, especially out in the country, right? But that we can take a look at the night sky and have somebody really walk us through what's going on there.
Yeah, it's actually quite rare for a place like ours here at Parkland College to have something like that, and we thank William Starkle, which of course the place is named for having that vision. He actually had a planetarium in the initial plans all the way back when the college was being designed, but he didn't get the money to build it till 1987.
But it's served us well since then.
Well, I'd like to think so.
I know one experience that's a really common experience here in District 505 is school children visiting the planetarium. So can you talk a little bit about children visiting as part of their school trips and just what experience we're able to offer them that's unique?
Yeah, we're open through the week for field trips. We do our public shows on Friday and Saturday nights. But we don't just put out just shows for the field trips. We like to actually work with teachers. In fact, we worked with Unit 4 schools, both their 4th grades and their 8th grades, to actually design programs with the teachers. The teachers actually wrote the show, so that when the teachers come here, they know what they're getting. They know what they're doing in classrooms, and they know what we're going to get at the planetarium. And we want to reinforce concepts, especially that they might have problems teaching in the classroom. So things are changing a little bit now. The 8th grades are changing their show a little bit, and the 4th grades for the next generation science standards, which Illinois has adopted, that's moving to 5th grade now. So we're got to put together a new program for those students. So, but again, we'll go through the same process of working with teachers.
That's exciting. We can evolve with the needs of the community and the curriculum and the needs of the kids. That's really awesome. So what are the community members able to access? So what are the shows going on right now in the planetarium? If I'm looking for something to do on the weekend, can I come see a show?
Yeah, it's cheaper than a movie too.
Well, most things are these days.
This is true. Yeah, Friday nights at 7 we have our Prairie Sky Show, and it's something we do really throughout the year. It's a live narrated tour of the night sky, which is something we really like to do. A lot of planetariums and other places do what we would call push-button shows. It's sort of like hitting play on Windows Media Player, not quite like that, but similar. And then you run the show. Well, we like to actually interact with audiences and talk to them and tell the same bad jokes over and over again and get people excited about looking up at the sky. But then we can also put in, say with our Digistar system, the Hubble Space Telescope releases a new photo, say this afternoon, we could put it into the show that night and actually talk about it, so we can be much more responsive. So that's a Prairie Sky Show. Then we usually have a full dome movie, which is like, that IMAX, it's a big screen, but ours wraps all the way around. So we can show movies over the entire dome. And
Dark Side of the Moon, that's one that we've
got
done.
something like that. Yeah, we do that. We do that maybe about once a month. But in October, we will be doing Experience the Aurora. And then in November, we'll do Phantom of the Universe, which is all about dark matter. Interesting show. And then we have a holiday show that we'll run after Thanksgiving called Season of Light.
Oh, that's wonderful. When does that start? Just right after Thanksgiving?
Right, yeah. We'll be open Thanksgiving weekend. It's actually one of the few weekends that we're doing shows. Everybody's out shopping and exhausted. And
so come to the Planetarium instead.
Yeah. When the college is closed, but I'll still be there.
Giving a good show.
I hope so.
And so what should we be looking for in the night sky this time of year? I know I step outside and I look at the stars and I don't have that knowledge, that depth of knowledge that you do, but for the layperson walking outside this time of year, because it changes seasonally, what should we be looking for?
Well, the neat thing this time of year is just, first of all, the Milky Way is going right across the sky. And if you've never seen that before, we have students that we take out into the country with telescopes, and they've never seen the Milky Way before, especially students from Chicago, and it's wonderful. Now, you do have to get outside of town to see that, but so the Milky Way is wonderful. Right now, we've got a lot of planets in the sky, too. Mars in the sky, Saturn, Jupiter, about ready to lose Venus. Venus is going to head about mid-October into the morning sky, but still some very bright planets. You can see the rings of Saturn, moons of Jupiter, lots of good stuff to see.
So what's the best place outside of the core of town to see this? I know there's an observatory. CU Astronomical Society is another community partner, obviously very closely tied with your work. So where is the observatory and what do they do?
The observatory is south of the Monticello Road on County Road 700 East, also known as Rising Road. And we have members go out and use the telescopes there just whenever they like, but we do public open houses, free open houses once a month. The only downside is it's weather permitting. So if it's cloudy, there's nothing to see. But it's cuas.org if people are interested in that schedule and can come out and check out the real sky. Aside from that, probably one of the darkest spots is the Middle Fork Forest Preserve. And we're hoping to hear sometime in the next couple of weeks if we will be the very first dark sky park in Illinois.
Oh, wow.
Right here in Champaign County.
That would be very exciting.
Yeah, we've been working a lot with the Champaign County Forest Preserve District to try to get that status. So you'll see lots of stuff in the news when that gets done. So.
Very cool. Very cool. And so if you're interested in checking it out and getting that taste, but then you want to take it a step further and you want to take a course, perhaps on astronomy, what are the classes that Parkland offers that can help someone learn about astronomy and more about the night sky?
There's a couple of credit classes, which we simply just Astronomy 101 and 102. 101 really covers a lot of the motions that we see, things like moon phases, seasons, and it runs through the solar system and ends with the sun. And then 102 starts with the sun and compares it to the other stars and the Milky Way galaxy and all the things within and how stars live and die. So those are credit courses. There are some some non-credit courses. Every now and then the Planetarium will offer just like a 5 weeks workshop for just the novice who doesn't want to take, doesn't want to come out here to Parkland every single day. And then there's other things too. I'm hoping that the Astronomical Society might have something soon in the future. Places like the Nita Purvis Nature Center have tubs that you can check out. I believe they even, it's the Champaign-Urbana Free Library has telescopes you can rent too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and we have telescopes. We have telescopes here at Parkland that you can rent.
So lots of opportunities for people to engage in whatever way they feel most comfortable. Very exciting. Well, with that, we'll go ahead and take a break and we'll return.
I'm Tracy Walfeld, and I'm the director of the foundation at Parkland College. And the Parkland College Foundation is there to support the mission of the college, whether that be student learning, providing intellectual, cultural, and economic development resources for our community, or providing our employees in the area with the skills they need to be able to join the workforce. We could not do it without the wonderful support of our generous donors. How can generous donors make an impact here at the college? There's lots of different ways. One of those are through scholarships. Scholarships provide those resources for students who may not have the means to go to school at all without that scholarship support. Sometimes it just means somebody believes in their ability to achieve their educational goals, and that gives students such a much needed boost. Other ways donors support is through our SOAR program, which is student orientation, advising, and registration, providing resources for academic programs such as new equipment, advances to technology, additions or renovations to existing buildings and facilities here on campus. And the cultural and educational outreach is an important component of a student's education here at Parkland. We have our Planetarium, our Gertz Gallery, and the Harold and Jean Miner Theater. All of those add an extra special element to our students' education, and not only our students, but our community at large. Each of those areas creates an impact for our students in the community that will last through the years. Please join us as we create that impact for other students.
The Parkland College Foundation has been instrumental in helping student life and the Dean of Students Office and being able to supply our students with a wonderful annual event. You can see a lot of activity behind me. That's our annual welcome convocation for new and returning students. The SOAR sponsors and convocation sponsors help us provide students with this wonderful event to help them understand how important it is to come to college and that they've made a great academic choice in Parkland. We also have orientation that they help us provide so that our SOAR, which is Student Orientation, Advising and Registration, is able to provide students with information about resources and help them get started in the correct manner to begin their new academic career.
The William M. Starkville Planetarium has been very fortunate to be able to work with the Parkland College Foundation for a lot of our programming here. We've gotten, I know, large donations from companies like SuperValue that have allowed us to buy programs that we can show not only to school groups, but to our public audiences on Fridays and Saturday nights. Yeah, right now full dome programming is actually pretty expensive. In fact, one full dome show is actually more than our annual budget. This is why we really depend on foundation funds. The projectors that we have in the room, there's only two, but each one of them have 2 light bulbs, and the light bulbs are about $1,100 a piece. So even just for operational funds, we look to the foundation. But back in 2010, we actually went digital. We got rid of all of our slide projectors, and we stopped depending on the machine in the middle of the room, and we went digital. We actually put in a couple of projectors and came up with what's called the Digistar 4, and we couldn't have done that without foundation money. And they really helped us out with fundraising and for making that whole project possible. Every cent, every dollar that comes in to the Parkland College Foundation helps programming here, not only for the general public, but also for the many kids that come in here on school field trips, because we produce programs that will actually work into their curricula at their schools.
The gallery is a great place for students to visit, but it's also a wonderful place for the community. So we have a lot of people that come out to visit us. We have senior groups coming, we have the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts, and we also have classes. So liberal arts classes, the art program, all sorts of classes are impacted by the gallery. And I feel really fortunate to be the gallery director because I think we make such an impact for our students and the community. We do a lot because of our foundation. Having the gallery named really helped us, and we're really able to do a lot of outreach, like our high school arts seminar, as well as our opening receptions and different programs. Probably one of my favorites is the high school arts seminar. We invite all of the students in the arts programs from all the different high schools. And so it's a great opportunity for them to come to campus and see what we're all about. One of the things that I think is terrific is when people give us feedback about the gallery. We've kind of been nicknamed the gem of the campus because we're kind of this small, intimate space that really people value. So I think that's terrific. And I also didn't realize how much of an impact we'd made until we had our alumni exhibition a few years ago. We had people coming from the early 70s all the way to a few years ago, and so it was really exciting to hear how the gallery had impacted them.
Because of the generosity of Mr. Mike Miner, we were able to do the sound redesign, which was very sorely needed because the Harold and Jean Miner Theater is 30 years old last year, so it's 31 years old. And this sound design is so important because it not only helps our patrons, but it also helps with our assisted listening devices. It also helps our students because they will have some state-of-the-art equipment to learn on. Our two theater venues, the Harold and Jean Minor Theater as well as the Parkland College Second Stage, is a great cultural opportunity for the patrons of our district and all surrounding outlying areas as well. We put on really good high-quality productions that we are very proud of.
Last year, over 4,000 students received some sort of financial assistance here at Parkland College. We dispersed more than $21 million to student accounts throughout the year. So you can see there's a huge demand for financial assistance here at Parkland College. The need for financial aid for our students is great here at Parkland. Besides just tuition and fees, students have housing, books, food, technology needs, and state and federal financial aid only goes so far. So foundation scholarships are hugely important for our students. They allow our students to supplement the other types of financial aid that they can get. A lot of times our students come back after receiving bachelor's degrees or master's degrees because they want to change their career. And those students wouldn't be eligible for state or federal need-based grants, and so scholarships are hugely important for them as well.
Well, it mostly helped my parents because they're the one paying for my studies. So yeah, it was just a lot less stress for them and for me too, because I got to buy my books without worrying. After, when you receive it, you feel grateful, and it feels good to actually receive it because you feel closer to the college. You feel like you made the right decision to attend Parkland.
So let's talk about impact. Well, the first thing that I think about is scholarships for our students. So look, we know that college is expensive, and despite our best efforts at keeping costs low, tuition and fees continue to grow, not to mention the cost of textbooks, living expenses, transportation, etc. Parkland has a great history of generous support for our students in the form of endowed and named scholarships, all created by some very special people and some businesses in our community. And I can tell you firsthand that I've heard the stories directly. These scholarships make all the difference in the world to hundreds of students every single year. The difference between being able to go to college or not. In addition, we've been fortunate to be able to augment our programs with dollars that have been donated from both individuals and employers that allow us to offer the very best programs, curricula, and equipment in all of our labs and our classrooms on campus. Many of our programs could not exist, or at the very least would be shadows of what they are currently, if not for our friends and benefactors in this community. Again, it makes all the difference in the world to our students, to our faculty and our staff, and ultimately the people that live and work in Parkland College District. So thank you.
All right, we're back from break, and we're still here with Dave Leake, chatting about the planetarium and all things astronomy related. So, Dave, you've been with the college 30 years now, is that correct?
It will be. In 2019, it'll be 30 years.
30 years.
Too long.
So what has changed since you came to Parkland College?
Oh my. Quite a bit. Like one is my hair. That's changed, and I need.
It's still looking great.
I need glasses now to see the control panel in the planetarium. But no, when I started, it was interesting. It was back in the fall of 1989, and we were running shows on 8-inch floppy disks.
Oh, wow.
Which you don't really see anymore, and reel-to-reel soundtracks, and everything was done with slide projectors. So if we changed at a show, we were here till 2 o'clock in the morning, switching out slide projectors, like 600 slides, just to take out a show and then put one in.
Wow.
And you know what? We had a blast. We had a lot of fun doing that. Of course, I was much younger then. But now, of course, everything is computerized and everything's done with video. And the classrooms, they took out the chalkboards. So they have these white boards and all the projectors now. And yeah, I didn't have any of that stuff. I still have a lot of my old transparencies that I used. But
oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't throw stuff out.
So lots of techie stuff has changed.
Yeah, definitely.
What about the people? There have been lots of different faces at the college. And so what's changed from that perspective? How are students different now than they were when you started? Or is the spirit of what they're doing still the same?
I think the spirit's more or less the same. My first thought when you asked that question was, I walk through the hallways now, and I think I know more people at the holiday retirement dinner, where all the retirees come. I know more people there than I do walking through the hallways. But I think that there's still that natural curiosity that students have. They've just been brought up differently, where it's not that today's students don't do this, but of course we grew up on the playground and things, and everybody who's has their Kindles and their phones, and everything's technology driven these days. And so I mean, there's a little bit of difference there, which isn't being critical. It's just different.
How do you think that community awareness of Parkland and the planetarium has changed over that time period? Because it was brand new when you started, essentially, and then now we're at this place where it's been a community institution. And you're also someone that's very well known in the community, is really advocating for education around astronomy and looking at the night sky.
Well, thank you.
And so you've really represented the college well. So how has it changed? How's the planetarium's reputation changed over that time?
Well, I don't know if I've damaged the planetarium's reputation or not, but I'd like to think that we're a little more well-known in the community. We try to get out there. Sometimes we have special events kind of help us out. August 2017, we had that big solar eclipse, and all of a sudden I was on all these TV shows and radio shows, and people wanted me for this and that, which had nothing to do with me really, but it's just people wanted to know about this event. So sometimes a big event will help, which means for my last year here at Parkland, I picked the 50th anniversary of Apollo 11. So not intentionally, but it just kind of worked out that way. Yeah. But one of the big things, of course, is social media. Didn't have any social media in the early days. So you had press releases, and you had to put articles in the paper.
You were faxing the press releases.
Exactly, exactly. So today with social media, you can reach a lot more people for a lot less money, actually. And they still let some dingbat write for the newspaper, too. Yeah, so I still have a weekly column. I have a weekly column in the newspaper, so.
Well,
it's nice to get word out that way.
We're very proud of all that you've done to really get that out there, and that you're an expert and a destination for people when they have questions in the community. But you mentioned that you do have an upcoming retirement in your future. So what are your plans for retirement after you go on to the next phase? That's
a really good question. Haven't really talked about it, so I guess this is kind of a scoop, right?
Yeah.
So
you heard it here first.
Yeah, it'll be next summer, I guess. 30 years is enough, and with things changing the way they are, it's maybe time for someone else to take the reins and see what they can do with it. And I hope to still be involved. I'd still like to volunteer some time at the planetarium. So the people who are thinking get the rat out of there will be happy. But some other people that like to hear maybe a few of my shows, you'll still see me on a weekend here or there. But so we'll see how that kind of plays out. And as far as what I'll do, I think one of the first things, given how we do telescope stuff at night and grading at night, I don't have time to do that through the day. Like, I haven't actually read a book in about 3 years, so things like that.
You probably have a list that's waiting for you of those.
Yeah, and it's also interesting, even though I love astronomy, if you point out the Big Dipper 5 and 6 times a day, sometimes I'll get home and go, I'll do something else. What's on Netflix tonight or something. So I'm kind of planning on, just kind of rediscovering why I really got into this back in 5th grade. Just kind of rediscover how cool all this stuff is.
It sounds like you're involved in so many different parts and pieces here at Parkland and then out in the community. That's kind of in your blood.
Yeah, a little bit. And I told somebody else that I'm hoping that I can volunteer some time because I have too much blood and sweat and even a few tears wrapped up in that dome. So how did you find yourself in astronomy as your career? Because you have a very unique career that you've built for yourself with this passion and then also your knowledge and advocacy of the planetarium. So how did you find yourself here in the first place? I'm so thankful to Parkland because how many people get paid to do their hobby? And that's really kind of what I've been able to do. But I started in 5th grade with no planetarium. We didn't have a planetarium when I was little. But you poke holes out of construction paper and put them on a transparency and you saw stars. I saw my first constellation on the wall. So when this place opened in '87, I actually applied for the director's job, which I knew I wouldn't get because I didn't have the experience. But I was hired a couple of years later, and I made a little bit of a reputation in the community because I did a lot of community outreach just on my own because of Halley's Comet. Halley's Comet was 1986. So Halley's Comet sort of helped me out. And then I started doing part-time shows here, and then a full-time position came open, and I had to take a pay cut. But
to do your passion, it was worth it.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought too.
Very cool. And I think that's the story that a lot of our Parkland students experience, right? They come to Parkland and they have some type of experience and it transforms their lives in a really exciting way. And I think, you know, anyone out in the community knows someone that's gone to Parkland and something big has changed for them. So from the faculty side, what's been your experience with students in terms of transformations? What are some of your favorite stories that you recall of students really finding their passion?
Well, you know, we don't turn too many people into astronomers, but I suppose for me, one of the neat things is just to see the light bulb go off. Probably any faculty member would say that, to see people finally getting things. And I see students later on in life. In fact, it's good and bad at the same time when you have students that'll say, hey, you did my class 10 years ago. Like, okay, I don't remember what I did last weekend, but you know, at least they remember. And they tell me they still look up at the sky. You know, they say, oh, I still saw Arcturus, or I still saw the Summer Triangle last night. And the fact that they remember stuff like that it's, a lot of people think, that stuff's out there, we don't really have to worry too much about it. But we are on a planet that's a part of this. So to this sort of knowing your neighborhood is to know what's out there. And that's kind of the platform I run on.
Yeah, that easy to relate to piece, that day-to-day. So what are the big things in the future, in the next year or two, that are the big astronomical events that we should be looking for? Because, for example, the eclipse was huge. There were eclipse parties and lots of interviews.
There'll be another one.
When's the next one?
April 2024.
Oh, wow.
There will be another one coming. And it'll be, we're still not on the center line here, but it'll be a little closer. Basically runs Effingham to Paris through southern Illinois. So,
okay.
Yeah, so that'll be good. That's probably the biggest thing. I mentioned the 50th anniversary of Apollo 11 will be next year, so that's a big thing. You never can tell when you're going to get a bright comet in the sky or something like that. So
very cool.
Yeah, the sky's always changing.
And in terms of, so you talk about Apollo 11, but then also other space travel, sort of what's next on the horizon there? People may be wondering. We talked a lot about Apollo and the moon pieces, but what else is going on here?
I'm wondering too. Because, with the government support of NASA is not as solid as maybe it was in the past. So a lot of private industry's taken things over. So
I know SpaceX is one.
SpaceX company. Yep. So and the whole space tourism is we hope will take off. I don't quite have the money for that, but
that was my next question. Maybe a space tourist.
Yeah, I'm not making Justin Timberlake money for something like that. But yeah, I mean it's just like anything else. Traveling across the Atlantic was pretty expensive at one time too. So now it's affordable. So
maybe that's in our future.
There you go. I'm hoping so.
So what about future of the planetarium in 5 or 10 years? What do you think is in the future of the planetarium as you're thinking about further in the horizon?
Besides a new director?
Well, besides a new director, but planetariums in general, where are things trending?
That's a great question. I know we here at the Starkville Planetarium, we're set for a few years. Now that we've got this, the software upgrade to Digistar 6, we went 8 years on Digistar 4. So, which some would say is a little long, but that's maybe could have gone a little longer on that too. So with Digistar 6, we're set there for a while. We just got new optics blocks put in the projectors, which is sort of the insides of it. And so now our images are brighter and a lot crisper. So we're set there for a while too. So that part is set. As far as the whole biz, now we haven't done it yet because it's still brand new, we can do dome casting, which means in another planetarium somebody could be giving a talk or doing a presentation and we can pipe the whole thing into ours.
Oh, very
so
cool.
we're sort of looking forward to maybe getting in a little bit of that.
It's kind of like podcasting, but with domes.
With domes, that's right. Now things are cloud sourced, of course, and cloud sourcing has been around for a while, but now somebody in Salt Lake City maybe could do a neat little animation of something and we could use it that night here. I'll just downloading it from the cloud. Very cool. And then the whole virtual reality thing, the whole VR stuff is interesting. Not quite sure where that's going yet.
But could be part of the
could
future.
Be part of the equation, that's right.
Oh, very exciting. Well, Dave, thank you so much for being on the show
today.
You're
welcome.
It's been a pleasure to have you. That's
Thanks
it for this edition of the Parkland Report, and we'll see you next time.